couple interviews. I've looked at some older tweets. The vibe I get is this guy's a little woke. Am I correct here in that assumption? Yeah.
100%. Because he is. And one of the...
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying, no, you're fine. He's very woke. He holds that blue line, unfortunately, in a lot of ways. He's pushed for a lot of the mandates with vaccines and masks and stuff, and he was very pro forcing that, which is a concern. As a libertarian, you should be able to do what you want. And then me personally, I ran from a blue state because of those policies.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I'm about to say it, and you're going to lose your shit because I know this is being your buddy and being on the show and each other's shows a few times. He's pretty big on the transitioning with children thing.
Yeah.
And when he was on our show,
he's never been on my show.
No, he's been on mine. You and I, we've been on each other's show.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I thought you said he'd been on my show. I'm like, no, he's welcome to come on. I'd be happy to interview him, but no. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I just know from our previous experience, this is kind of one of those topics that you and I have discussed as a hot one.
Yeah.
When we pushed him about on the show, the way he responded was, I would never be willing to do surgical changes to a child, but medicine can be reversed. And when I asked about side effects, he said, that happens with mental medication and other sorts of things. And so I couldn't consciously vote for him. And at the end, he said, this is my vice presidential candidate. And there was this beautiful woman from Indiana. She is the chair of Indiana. My heart goes out to her again. He introduced her, said, this is it. And then when it came time to vote for the vice president, he stabbed her in the back. And Mike Termat came up to the mic and said that he was not going to follow through with promises he had made to chairs and people at National, and he was going to run with Chase Oliver. So in the last minute, Chase stabbed his vice president in the back, didn't tell her. Publicly, she found out. And then Mike Termat, being a cop, backstabbed half of the people in the audience when he decided to go up on the mic and back Chase Oliver as president.
Well, it sounds like it went swimmingly. I don't know what you're talking about. This sounds perfect to me. I don't see anything wrong with this.
We get to 1 a.m. on the last day because everybody decided that we were not going to leave. We have to get this done. So we waited till 1 a.m. to have everything just fucking blow up in our face.
That's crazy. I'm not laughing at your misfortune. I'm just laughing at the state of affairs. You know what I mean? It's
oh my God, yeah.
So I've seen another video of this guy where he says that, correct me if I'm wrong, drag shows for kids are no different than the Wiggles. I'm like,
this is what I mean. How
that's
did this
retarded.
happen? Like,
that's retarded.
I can't.
It's not. There's a different. If you want to sit here and argue with me that drag shows for kids are good, then that's fine. Him and I can sit here and have that discussion. But don't fucking lie. Like, that's not true. You don't actually believe that. That's what pisses me off about people like that.
Well, and like I said, he's very polished. He can talk and present himself because he's a little slimy. He knows how to hide some of that stuff. He's a true politician. If you want to talk about getting someone who can play, he stabbed people in the back. He pushed himself forward by doing so. He won over people by jumping around and being who they needed him to be at that time. He was on my show at the end. I was like, I might be able to vote for Chase. He's not bad. And then I went back and looked at everything and I went, that son of a bitch. He's so smooth and good at it. He really is. Mike was my second pick. I was all for Termat. I went and saw him during the convention. I was ready to go. And then he got up there and did that. And I reminded myself, once a cop, always a cop. You don't talk to or trust police officers.
He was a cop?
I knew better. Yeah. And I found out he had multiple no-knock warrants on him. So only is he a cop.
He was the one that did the knocking, or he got the raid at his house?
He raided people.
Okay.
He raided people. As a libertarian vice presidential candidate, he was a cop, and he raided people and no-knock warrants.
Who did you want of all the people initially?
So
I'm biased. I like Josh Smith as my friend, so I endorsed him early on, even though I had a feeling he wasn't going to win. But
so if we jump back to the very beginning of the whole thing, I was pushing pretty hard for RFK Jr. until he stepped in it.
Yeah.
And then after that, I seriously thought about Lars Mapstead for a long time. I had him on my show. I thought he was a pretty cool, down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about him, so I gave it a long time. And then he started to lead with his money first and his morals and principles second. And
Yeah.
I don't play that game.
Well,
I'm not bought cheap.
the Lars Mapstead, where I had issues with him, for those of you that don't know that are listening, he was one of the founders of Adult Friend Finder, and which is an app that's commonly used for people to cheat on their spouses. And I just have, I know that's not anything to do with anybody's policy, but I just have some moral qualms knowing that someone would knowingly take money from a service like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, he leads with his money and morals and principles second. And I don't play that game. I'm not easily bought. So that was hard. Honestly,
Yeah.
in the end, I voted with Reckenwald because he was the lesser of all of them. I
Sure.
didn't know who was best.
Sure.
And I wanted somebody that wouldn't embarrass the party, that knew pretty solid stuff on war, on all of the way it should have been. He had a mishap the night before, and I was sitting in the room going, I don't even know who the fuck to vote for anymore.
Yeah.
It was a mess that day. And it showed because it split. The vote took 7 rounds of split. It took forever. I was literally drinking out of my backpack with the rest of my delegation and throwing ninja stars and fucking frisbees with people in other delegations because everybody was checked out.
Well, that's the thing is, excuse me. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit there. So with Chase Oliver, and I hate to keep going back to this guy, do you think that this is actually going to help Donald Trump in the long run?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like this is someone who, there's no one that was ever going to consider voting for Trump that's going to vote for this guy.
No. And unfortunately, I think the attempt to bring Mike Termat on was supposed to bring in the more conservative vote because he definitely is almost polar opposite to Chase, which is part of what's confusing about the ticket is they are almost polar opposite.
But what's going to happen with that, though, is people that are on the outside looking in that aren't sold on Trump are going to look at the top of the ticket and say, no, thanks. And they're not going to give a rat's ass about who the vice president is.
Correct. And you have a lot of states. Libertarians are the third party, the largest third party, and we're trying. And I love them, and I will keep fighting for them as long as I can.
Right.
But we live in states that are going to be either blue or red.
Yeah.
That's just the fact.
Yep.
And Chase is too much of one side to sell in a lot of the conservative states, like mine. It will be an incredible battle to try to switch anybody in this state to vote for Chase who would be on the red side or even conservative leaning at this point.
Yep.
A lot of the libertarians across the country that are more conservative are livid. That's why he was fighting against Noda. It came down to Chase or Noda.
And he only won, it was like 60-40. He beat none of the above by like 20%.
Yeah, and everything until that point was like marginal. Like for a lot of time, it was like 31 to 28.
Yeah.
Between him and the person below. It was so marginal. And everybody's like, oh, he swept states. He took states by like 20%. And that's not 20% of the state. That's like 20% of the libertarians. So it's just not enough
people.
of the states to matter.
Yeah. Of 500 people. That's well, I've got a poll here with him. The first poll that's come out. It's got Trump at 42%, Biden at 41%, RFK at 8%, and Chase, Cornel West, and Jill Stein each with their own piece of the pie at 1%. So he's doing numbers right now. He's doing, and that's the shame is I don't think there's ever been a bigger appetite for a third party. You've got Donald Trump, who the whole country, even the people that like him, are exhausted with. Joe Biden, pedophile, war criminal, has dementia. I mean, there's got to be someone competent that you could run. And then the fact the Libertarian Party is going to be the only party, the only third party, because RFK is not going to be on all 50 states ballots, the only third party with ballot access in all 50 states, and they managed to drop the ball like this is a shame. It really is.
It's nauseating. It's absolutely nauseating. I left convention feeling pretty beaten after that because I don't know how to sell it to my state. A lot of people don't know how to sell it to their states. I don't personally it sounds so shitty. I don't personally like him enough as a politician to be able to push it in that side. That being said, I spent some time with Chase at convention. He is a nice guy. Very nice.
Yeah.
It's concerning a little.
So is George Bush.
Yeah, like
so
that's
Joe
just
Biden.
It. Like
Obama.
Yeah, these
they
people,
all are.
Yeah, they're nice people. I sat and talked to all of them, and then I watched as they played politics and stabbed people in the back and used their policies, and went, "Oh no!" And then also brought people from either side because of, oh no, she did this or he did that. They were walking the aisles, pulling chairs aside to try to make deals with them to help them during the voting. Like, I know it's part of the game, but there wasn't enough merit there to see the bad parts and just pass by on any of them, really. It
Yeah.
was really shitty. And it sucks because this was the chance. Like you said, if we could have gotten Spike Cohen, sorry, Spike, I'm your buddy and I'm sorry to do that to you. And Dave Smith,
Dave
also, I
Smith would have been
apologize.
phenomenal. I love Dave
Yeah,
Smith. Yeah.
yeah. I love them both. I saw them both this weekend. Either one would have probably rallied the troops together. And I hate to say that because I know both of them don't want to hear that and don't want it, but it's the facts. We needed somebody like that. Picking two polar opposites when we're already fighting in the party on that line was a mistake. And it will probably haunt us forever because this was a really solid chance with the two we had.
Like I'm telling you right now, Dave Smith, in terms of, I mean, he's having a moment right now. That guy in the next 5 years is going to be a superstar just on the national scale. Yeah. I mean, there's not, you won't see a louder voice and a better spokesman for libertarians than Dave Smith. And he is absolutely blowing up on the national scale. I mean, he's on CNN, Piers Morgan, all the mainstream media has him come on there, and he's a comedian, so he's quick-witted, but he's also really, really intelligent. And they underestimate him like that. And I have seen that guy, even on issues I disagree with him on, just take people to the woodshed and really make me even reconsider how I feel about it because he's so convincing. And I know he had some personal things going on, and that's why he ultimately decided against it. But man, I mean, you want to talk about just poor timing, not being able to have him.
He would have been perfect. And he did a lot of the opening speeches before Trump and those people. He did a lot of the talking, and it was just so obvious that he would have been the best. And
for sure,
I don't know, maybe we should have just done a write-in and forced his hand. But he, it sucks because we had some players in there that could have been really good. And once again, it kind of ended up the way Joe Jorgensen did. Nobody could agree. In the end, the Noda or her won, and here she is. And then we all know how that went. She's a great lady. Met her this weekend. She's very nice. Again,
also
very nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Also,
we'll just keep that.
Yep. I've met her in person. She's a very nice lady. A very nice lady who has no business running for president.
Exactly.
Like most of these people. And hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.